When I'm walking down the street.
I do want to say to Doni and many of you in this room that over a very long career in this city, all of you have helped me and my colleagues tell the truth and to try to tell.
I may not look like you and you me, but
my head up.
I'm South Carolina, so I just
What does this event mean to you, Miss Peggy Mars?
Oh, my heart.
Happy 20th anniversary.
My heart is about loving up on my sisters. Do you know what it feels like to have your sisters in the room? Done.
And dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. I am beautiful, I am blessed, but not just what you see in the flesh. I'm free from people, free from myself. There's
The doctor lived next door to the janitor, to the reverend, and the lawyer. We were together. Now we get so high and mighty that you create stress for your society because you don't like poor black folks either. That's a health problem. Get yourself together so I can stop being taking care of geriatric people and get back to pediatrics. I thank you, Doni, for all you've done. Let's keep doing it for all and more.
letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. And I dare you, I dare you, I dare you to be you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. We have a hot show for you today. My name's Donnie Glover, publisher of BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. We've been streaming on this blackusa.news platform since December 2020. Today's guest is none other than Mr. Wayne Frazier, President and CEO of the Maryland-Washington Minority Companies Association, and we will be discussing the recovery of the Key Bridge this morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Donnie. Doing great.
Are you in your Baltimore office or your Miami office?
Now I'm in my Baltimore office today, Donnie, and that's not Miami. It's Tampa area.
Okay, Miami just sounds sexier. Okay, nonetheless.
I know.
Tampa.
Too risky.
Just don't lose your Ravens gear while you're there. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Frazier, on a much more difficult note to swallow, early last week, a huge tragedy, one of the worst in American history, happened, and now we're about the recovery. The Bay Bridge was hit by a freight ship. I mean, with so many tons of storage containers, the number is even higher than we could really fathom. Very tall, hits the Bay Bridge, it goes down, 6 workers die. Beyond that, the whole world has to readjust. What did you think when you saw it?
Well, initially, shocked. I fished the Chesapeake Bay, the Patapsco River Basin, fished underneath of that bridge. Many a time I was at Sandy Point State Park, and you could see the bridge right from the park itself. It has become an icon for the city. Much like the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, the Key Bridge had become that iconic figure for Baltimore. And when I initially thought, I said, gosh, there had to be maybe scores of people who died. Fortunately, it wasn't that many, but I'm sorry for anyone to have lost their lives in that colossal tragedy. And I do think it could have been prevented. But that's another story. And then after a few days of mourning, my thoughts quickly.
Your business hat come on.
Pardon?
Your business hat came on.
Yes. And I said, well, gosh, for every colossal tragedy like this in America, there comes opportunities for economic recovery, for a boom, if you will. And then I said, oh, gosh, Wayne, will any Black folks benefit from this?
And is that a wrong question? I mean, this is what you do day in, day out. As a matter of fact, we need to get your big old breakfast down here in this ticker tape. What's the date on that breakfast?
It's May 10th, 2024, 7:30 a.m. to 12 noon at Martin's West Catering Hall in Woodlawn, Maryland.
This huge breakfast that thousands of people have come to, every past governor since whenever you first started.
Bob
Ehrlich, all the way through. Did Marty Marr come through?
He spoke, attended quite often. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Brown. And then we had Michael Steele as well was there under Ehrlich. And then we had Governor Hogan and Boyd Rutherford. All of them over the last 21 years have participated and spoke and addressed the audience at the event on May.
As a matter of fact, we pulled one of the photos from one of those events and put it in this promo for this show where you had the boxing gear on.
Well, Donnie, I don't know where that came from, but folks said, Wayne, you are a fighter for the people. My wife, she picked it up. She went and purchased the crown. The boxing gloves were donated by Sugar Ray Leonard, who we honored one year for his business that he started.
I was there, and he was just as everyday people-ish as you would find.
Yes, he is.
A humble champion.
And so she said, well, Wayne, why don't we claim you the people's champ for minority-owned businesses? And I said, hey, that's corny. I don't want to do it. And
great job, Pat, and great job listening, Mr. Frazier. And so when you see this bridge go down and the business hat comes on a few days later after the morning, do you feel like Black business was a top priority in a state where we have the first Black governor, in a state where we have a Black attorney general, a Black Speaker of the House? What else do we have? A Black treasurer. We have in a city with a Black mayor, city council president, state's attorney, comptroller, solicitor. I mean, damn. What does all of this political positioning mean if it doesn't translate into money?
Well, unfortunately,
it means nothing.
Unfortunately, our elected leaders have not figured out how to include us.
Go dig up Marion Barry. Go read his book. You say you're not going to do anything unless there's 30% Black state, there's 63% Black city, there's 73% Black and brown city, unless these people get jobs. Period. End of story. Nothing will be moved. Nothing.
Well, in this particular case, Donnie, with the bridge collapsing like that, it immediately became an emergency situation. And when situations like that become classified as emergency, all of the rules of MBE and any kind of other reserve or women or gay and lesbian or
well, we
veteran,
can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
But they all go out the window. The state, the city will begin to make their own rules and select who they want to do
exactly. You're Black.
And
don't you want to see your people eat?
Well, it all comes back to who their secretaries or department heads, chiefs. It's all who they have relationships with. And unfortunately, I can't name one black firm that any of these officials have relationships with that they can go to in a pinch, in a crunch like this, to say, oh, we trust you to be able to deliver because all eyes are on us. And we believe, I don't know if it's true, but we believe that white is right, black, you get back and stay back. And so I don't believe in this situation, unless folks are keeping it quiet, I don't believe in this situation that any black-owned firm, supplier, trade, welder, tugboat, dredge boat, welders are engaged in this. I don't believe any. I'm waiting to be told, and sometimes I'm wrong, but I'm waiting to be told, well, Wayne, you're wrong. We have such and such working. But none of that has come forth. None of it. Now, I heard through the grapevine yesterday that the big kahuna, Bechtel, is being awarded the emergency contract. Bechtel is a major corporation, but they ain't known for inclusiveness at all. And unless it's mandated by government, by the governor, by the mayor, that you must have this participation. And by the way, this is being orchestrated by state government. The Port of Baltimore is owned by the state of Maryland and operated by the state of Maryland. So all decisions are coming from state government. And we know who.
Well, if people don't have the ability to help empower black businesses, they don't need my help. Because we're all about supporting black businesses. And if black businesses are not a priority today, then they won't be one tomorrow.
Surely will not. They surely will not.
Mr. Frazier, we're being joined. We're going to pull in Mr. Darwin Pegace. Before I bring him in, let me just share some of his resume. Let me find this piece that I had on him. He owns a tugboat firm. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. He's one of the few.
Here we go. Captain Darwin Pegace is the owner and president of Island Breeze Marine, IBMI. He is a distinguished United States Navy veteran who received an honorable discharge in 1988. Captain Pegace has more than 25 years of education, training, and experience in the maritime industry as a merchant captain, with 11 years of specialized expertise in maintaining dredging and wetland development. He provides leadership, motivation, and vision for Island Breeze Marine Incorporated. He's proficient in negotiations, administration, and oversight of large-scale complex projects for the global community. Innovation and technology are embraced to respond to the specific needs of their clients. Their diverse portfolio showcases their commitment to quality and excellence in providing exceptional transportation and environmental services for federal defense and government agencies. They've expanded their growing business with repetitive contracts and client referrals. The ultimate goal is to provide optimum customer service, which exceeds the expectations of their clients in the maritime industry. They monitor underserved communities through a model apprenticeship and employment program with well-paying career options for youth, minorities, and previously incarcerated populations for the maritime industry. Our vision, their vision, is to introduce maritime career options as a deterrent from drugs, gangs, street violence, and criminal activities. Pretty damn powerful. Darwin, welcome to the show. We understand you're having some camera challenges. Good morning, Captain. So his audio is out. I'll tell you what I'll do, Wayne, Mr. Frazier. I'll try to get him on the line via phone. But why don't you take a moment and tell us how you found this gentleman, and I'll go get him on the line.
About 13, 14 years ago, we met at a function that was being offered by the Bay Pilots. The Bay Pilots are a group of men and women who actually steer the large vessels coming into the Chesapeake Bay from the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay down in the Virginia Beach area, all the way up through the bay to the Port of Baltimore and any other stops in between. And he said, "Hey, you know, I'm a tugboat captain." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "We own our own tugboats, and we have young Black men that we're training to be seamen on the boat. We're offering them opportunities, and I would like to be a part of your association, and I'd like to get certified as an MBE so that I can take advantage of these opportunities that come out from the Port of Baltimore." And I said, "Great." And so that's how we met those many years ago. And he's been operating up and down the East Coast, far north as New York, New Jersey, in that port area, to south of South Carolina, and I believe even in parts of the Gulf of Mexico. So he's extremely experienced. And then he introduced me to these underwater Black divers. And those are the ones who are going in now, surveying the wreckage, the damage. And they also are welders, or what you call it, acetylene steel cutters. So, and these are unique breed of brothers that are in this country, but somehow they don't get hired. And so that's another travesty, because I can't name any others. There may be some out West Coast, there may be some down in the Gulf of Mexico, but we're fortunate to have them right here in the DMV.
Captain, in the name of my late grandfather, who was a United States Navy sailor, we salute you, sir, and thank you for your service. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Great, great. Well, thank you for the invite. Thank you, Mr. Frazier. It's good to touch bases with you again and get reconnected. I was able to share with you my experience here for the last 13 years since we met. And I've came back to report that things are still the same. We have made some advances in terms of opportunities, but the industry itself has made it clear that folks that look like me are really not welcome in the maritime industry. But it hasn't stopped me, and it will not stop me because they're the one that taught me the business. And as I explained to you earlier, you know, the thing that you see quite often is that these large companies, they want or will agree to work with you for the purpose of getting the work. And once they get the work, then the game plan changes. I was recently on an infrastructure project, where I had to voluntarily leave the job because we had issues with our equipment being tampered with. And this is something that just happened recently. So,
Kevin, before we go too far, what is your phone number? I'd like to put it on the screen. We need to get you some business today. What is your phone number?
410-446-2777.
Pardon me for interrupting.
Mm-hmm.
We want him to get some business right away, right today. So tell me more, Captain. No one has called you. No one, the black governor doesn't know about you.
Yes, in fact, the Governor Moore office has open ears for me since I have taken my position and my complaints to them since they entered office. They have listened to me, and they do
Good.
understand what I believe the problems are in terms of getting folks that look like me involved in the maritime industry. Um, I do believe that moving forward, that the governor office will be of big support to sort of change the face of the maritime industry in Baltimore, because the times that I have taken young individuals in Baltimore and put them on boats, the companies call me back and say we don't want him, or make up a reason why they don't want him on the boat. But that haven't deterred us from moving forward. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to come on the show. And I don't want to go too negative because I don't want to.
No, we want you to get business, and
Yes,
I'll
sir.
tone down my rhetoric as well. But it angers me. It angers Mr. Frazier, because we both have been out here advocating well over. Well, Mr. Frazier is a couple days older than me, but at
Sure.
least you have a half century of advocacy in Annapolis, in Washington, D.C., at the White House, in the city of Baltimore. We've gone out there countless times, time and time again, for our black businesses when nobody cared. And we
Sure.
salute people like the late Arnold Jolivet, like the late Bob Clay, who stood up and fought when nobody cared about. Ray Haysbert, a Republican. And so I also want to say that we salute your tradition. There are not a lot of blacks that are celebrated coming out of the Navy. I know Dory Miller was a wartime hero.
Sure.
And then again, my maternal grandfather was in the Navy out of Puerto Rico. But we don't hear a lot about blacks in the Navy. Not like we could, I think.
Sure, absolutely. I totally agree with you. In fact, I'm originally from North Carolina, and if it wasn't for my visit to the port of Baltimore as a young kid, I would have had no idea that the marine industry even existed. And that's what drove me to join the Navy. That's what drove me to get out of the Navy and to get my merchant marine license, because it all worked hand in hand. And the same pattern or the same roadmap that I used for myself would work for young folks today, but they don't know about it, and the industry doesn't want them to know about the maritime industry.
Well, let me tell you something, Captain. I have a book out called "I Am Black Wall Street." Did you know that there were black pirates?
Yes.
Black
Yes.
Caesar down in Florida. When they finally caught him and hung him, he had about $6 million in silver.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you think about Pedro Nino Alonso, the one who taught Christopher Columbus and his lost self how to get over to this side of the world, and then you consider the Moors and the Egyptians and Mansa Musa,
Sure.
the richest king who ever lived, who came out of Mali. Maritime, we invented maritime, quite frankly.
Yes, sir. It's the oldest profession in the world besides prostitution.
Oh my
The
God.
maritime industry is the oldest profession that exists. And you're absolutely right. There was a gentleman down in Georgia, and I won't mention his name, but he became the first black pilot in the state of Georgia. And when the governor had selected him to become a pilot, and the state house went to commission him, they realized there was a law in the books in the state of Georgia said if he was a Negro, you couldn't be a pilot. So they had to remove that law off the books in an effort for him to become a pilot, which he is now. And I think Savannah now has 2 black pilots. And men such as myself and several other men that I was acquainted with 20 years ago, we sued these organizations around the country for equal treatment to get into the maritime industry, to be able to practice a trade, to be a pilot, And at the time down in Texas, the pilots were making $800,000 a year, working 5-6 months a year. So it's really an industry that others do not wish for blacks to participate in. They truly believe that it's their industry and that we have no right there. And I'm here to prove them wrong. I mean, hey, I've been doing it for 38 years myself, and I haven't given up, despite the fact that, I have a wife and 5 kids. It's been extremely difficult, continue to be difficult from time to time. But I've gone so far, there is no turning back at this point.
There was also a famous black diver, Carl Frazier.
Yes, sir.
That comes out of your industry.
Yes, sir. There's the black divers out of Washington, D.C. Gentleman, Mark. I don't want to put his last name out there, but, between Mark, myself, there's been several other black businesses down in South Carolina. Gentleman working on a bridge project down there that was treated awfully. And, the beat just continued to goes on. And we want to know, how are we going to position ourselves the way the maritime industry shows us some love and give us the opportunity to work. If we fell on our own, we fell on our own. But these tricks and the shenanigans that, we have to deal with, it's an unfair situation. And
my only point, Mr. Frazier, is we black people, time and time again, even on May 14th, we are asked to vote a certain way. We are asked to support politically certain people. I live in a 9-1 Democratic city, a 2-1 Democratic state, and I'll be darned, I don't see the ROI on our vote. Not like I think I should. When I go to Atlanta, I see black people running everything from the airport to Herman Russell's restaurants to the stadium, the Mercedes Stadium. When I go to Harlem, there's this expectation that there will be a black person in charge, whether it's the mayor or the head of the building. But in Baltimore, God doggone it, it's like the message gets lost, and it becomes nothing more than a piece of political rhetoric, Mr. Frazier.
Well, it's always been that way, Donnie, and it appears that it always will be when folks, black politicians particularly, owe their existence to those who provided them with big chunks of money. And I imagine that's the way it'll always be. But I want to go back to Captain.
I didn't pronounce your name right. Is it Pegues?
Pegues, by way of North Carolina. Pegues.
Okay.
Captain Pegues, if you get a call, what type of services could you provide in this?
We can provide pretty much any type of vessel service, whether it's a crew boat to shuffle crew members to and from the job site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or if it's a certain size tugboat that is needed to utilize and move barges in and around the job site. Mr. Frazier, I was once a candidate about 20 years ago to become a pilot in Maryland. In fact, I would have become only the second state pilot in the state of Maryland history, behind a gentleman who I knew very well who came out of the Maritime Academy. And in that situation, I thought for sure that I was going to, land a position, and instead the politicians kind of played political football with me. And as a result of that, I was not selected to get onto that group of pilots, and nothing else was ever said about it. So that's when I started my own tugboat company, because I realized that the pilots in this state and other states was not willing to hire me because they kept moving the goalposts.
The Bay pilots in Maryland are regulated by the Maryland Public Service Commission.
That is correct, yes, sir.
And
commissioned by the governor.
And so it's the governor.
Yes,
because the governor controls the Maryland Public Service Commission. He names the commission members, the board members, and selects who the chair is. So I don't know if you still have aspirations but making $800,000 a year is a pretty nice piece
Sure.
of change.
Sure.
And,
Well, you can do even better as a tugboat owner.
oh my God.
And right and now, you know, I'm in a position where I'm trying to spread the word to get more folks that look like me into the business in hopes that, you know, it's going to draw attention. It's going to draw some excitement among the youth in the community. And that's sort of where I am. So I'm not really more so on the trying to create, you know, a ton of wealth. I mean, it's always nice, but, you know, I'm concerned about my people, and I'm concerned about my people not having access to these type of jobs. And that's sort of where I see myself now. And that's my
Especially when we see black faces on the news every single day talking about this bridge. They should be talking about Captain Pegues.
Well, Donnie, not just Captain Pegues, but as I said,
He's a layup.
I
God,
agree.
doggone, just call the man.
I agree. But as I said, this is emergency procurement, meaning the state can make their own rules on who they want to select. They don't even have to go out to bid. All they got to do is one of the department heads is pick up the phone and say, hey, we like to have you on. What's your rates? But there's other areas aside from that. One area that is extremely useful or needed is fuel. I mean, can you imagine? These boats and these equipment is going to be going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until all of this is corrected. And we have a very strong black owned fuel company in Maryland called Apex Petroleum. They're the largest black fuel provider on the East Coast. On the East Coast.
Oh,
And
see, my bad. I was thinking about your other client, J.J. Adams.
No. J.J. Adams could not handle this.
That's heating fuel.
Yeah. He could not. He's a great guy, but he couldn't handle this. This guy, Apex, has a rack. A rack is where you ride over the Key Bridge, where you used to ride over the Key Bridge, and to the right or left, you see all of those big white tanks. That's a rack. Each one of them is a rack. He owns a rack. Not Iraq.
Is this Nambi?
No, his name is Anthony Onira, Apex Petroleum.
Okay.
In Prince George's County. And he is trying to win work at the Department of General Services, DGS, and they screwing him around. His prices can compete with any of the big guys.
Let me just put it out there, Mr. Frazier. We vote for people who we think will help empower our businesses. We understand that politics is nice, but if it doesn't translate in the economic empowerment of the community, Captain, it means absolutely nothing. But window dressing.
Nothing. And I'm so disappointed that our governor, who campaigned on leaving no one behind, his administration at MDOT, at DGS, one of the two largest procurers in the state of Maryland, constantly leave us behind. And there's no excuse for that, other than the fact that they don't care.
Well, he's going to say he cares. I mean, I'm not going to throw him totally under the bus.
Donnie, I don't want to throw him under the bus either. I love him. I love the fact
but we do want accountability. And let me tell you something. People have leaned on me for supporting Hogan in the past and Ehrlich in the past. I saw results. Coppin State, classic example. Looked like a high school. Now the campus goes from Gwynns Falls Parkway to Baker Street. Evidence. Democrats rode past that building for decades.
Yes, they did.
For decades.
But there are other opportunities, Donnie. The point is that I see all of these plans that the state is coming up with now, recovery plans for businesses and da da da, and that's all well and good. It's all well and good, and that's what they're supposed to do. But when are we going to get our opportunity? When is someone from down in state circle going to say, hey, we're going to anoint you. We're going to bring you in. When is that going to happen?
Captain, I want to go over some of your qualifications, certifications and licenses. You're HubZone certified. And this is in the DC office. Small and disadvantaged business certification from the SBA also. Service disabled veteran-owned business. Disadvantaged business enterprise. Port Authority of New York and New Jersey Office of Business Diversity and Civil Rights. Other heavy and civil engineering construction certifications. Navigational services to shipping. Minority business enterprise. Port Authority of New York, New Jersey. 1,600-ton master, U.S. Coast Guard. What's 1,600-ton mate near coastal? What's the 1,600-ton mate, Captain?
Yes, sir. That was the size of the license that I held with the Coast Guard, and the size ships, the maximum size ships that I could operate, which is as it shows in that license, my license held me up to 1,600-ton vessels. So if you want to go further than that, you can go to what they call unlimited ton. But let me just say that my company has shown that we can get the work done. We responded to the earthquake in Haiti. I think back in 2010, I believe it was. Our vessel was the first ship to arrive over there to give support.
Oh, and wow!
So we've done the do, and
wow!
We just don't get the credit for it or the recognition, which I'm used to. I haven't made any calls for it to work down on the bridge because I did understand that it was an emergency, and I do understand in emergency situations that these agencies are not looking to fulfill any type of goals. And I get it, and I can agree with it. I mean, right now my focus is going to be on the rebuilding of the bridge. That's when the opportunities are going to kick in.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of bridge steel to move out of the way first. You have a tugboat, and you can help move it.
I could absolutely. I could. In the maritime industry, through the years I've been in the industry, I've learned to do a little bit of everything, and that's what the maritime industry is about. It's about building your capability as a seaman to be able to handle multiple type situations, whether it's dredging, whether it's tugboats, whatever the case may be. I've learned and they have taught me. When I say they, typically the white-owned companies, they hire me or bring me on board so I could be up front, and I get 10% and sub them out 90%. Is basically what the industry had in mind for me until I told them that that's not how I roll. That I'm not going to be doing business like that because I've seen too many folks look like me go to jail over bad situation.
Right.
They want to make me a front. I'm not going to be anyone front. Not going to happen.
Mr. Frazier, I've had many discussions over the years about whether or not BeMoreNews.com should get this minority business enterprise certification. You know my argument. It's a waste of my damn time. You go through all of these hoops, but you still believe in getting blacks, and I hate the word minority because when I look around the world, I'm not a part of the minority. People of color are the majority. There's 1.5 billion people in Africa, and damn if that's a minority. But however the case, in America, we're constantly all kinds of words, verbiage, rhetoric that keeps us on the periphery of business. What does it take for the captain to be a prime? Is it his skin color alone?
It's money.
Well, yeah.
If he were white, would he be able to get a contract right now?
More than likely, yes, because unfortunately for us, white folks comfortable dealing with white folks. It's always been
But
that
these
case.
are tax dollars too. We're 30% of this state. Nobody wins the state election without blacks. Nobody.
Well, again, Donnie,
We come to collect, Mr. Frazier.
I think it's
You remember you used to sell them afros and you knock on the door every Friday. You want your money for that Tuesday and Friday paper.
15 cents it was. I recall.
At Christmas time, we want a little care package.
Sure. But Donnie, now here's the other thing. We now stand a chance because of the most recent ruling a couple of weeks ago from this federal judge who was appointed by Donald Trump down in Texas, who ruled that that black folk, principally, I know there's other Hispanics and women and but it's black folks. It's hateful towards black folks, that they should not be treated special, and that white men should be given the same opportunities to compete on these contracts as black folks.
U.S. judge in Texas rules minority business agency must serve all races.
Yes.
A federal judge in Texas has ruled that the U.S. Minority Business Development Agency, founded during the Nixon administration, and remember, that's after black people cutting the fool, causing riots all over the country, and folks realize you better pay these black people, give them some jobs, allow this integration to happen. Well, anyway, they found it, they must avail itself to disadvantage entrepreneurs of all races and ethnicities, including whites. Can you believe that crock of crap?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what kind of chicanery, tomfoolery is this?
Yes, sir. In my opinion, the government accomplished their goal of ensuring that white men was given their advantage when they made it possible for their wives to become WMBE and DBE. Because most of my competition that I see in the industry is not against white men, it's white women, because their wives own companies. They own tugboat companies. They own crew boat companies. That money from their husband company runs down to their wife company. So they've accomplished that goal, but it's not enough. They want it all.
They want it all.
Now, we have a comment from Byron Deese. I totally disagree, because if Westmore still has Hogan people around, I find that laughable. Do you think?
He does. The secretary, the chief of MBE, is a Hogan person.
And he still got a job.
It's a woman.
It's a woman.
Yes.
So what I'm getting is that the excuse is that these are Republicans holding up progress in Maryland, right?
Nah, that's not the case.
Yeah, you can take that one off the board.
No.
No one's going to let a previous administration define them. No one. Democrat, Republican, black, or white.
Well, there's another situation that has hit us, and I know we have a little time left, but our dear governor, through his relationship with President Biden, and I love Biden. I will vote for Biden any day. I will vote for more any day. But our governor has set forth this whole, it's called Project Labor Agreements, PLAs. And that means this: any project over $25 million that is funded by federal government, it flows down to Maryland. Any contractor that comes on board must hire their labor through the union hall. Now, the union halls aren't strong in Maryland. So that means that labor will come from outside of the state, guaranteed, from the Midwest, from Northeast, where the unions are strong. But most importantly, those black-owned businesses that want to do, and this bridge, when they rebuild it, is going to have a PLA. When they go to procure, that means that any company, let's take Commercial, that's a big company. Commercial Interiors. They don't do bridges. They do vertical work. But that means if they went and bidded on that work, any employee that, or excuse me, any worker that would come on that job would have to come through the union hall first. If the union hall can't provide it, then they can bring their own people on. Now, then you have to mix union workers who generally make a larger salary than non-union workers, and they have a different culture, a different way of doing business. And so you're going to make it toxic by bringing these folks together, and it's going to severely affect Black-owned businesses who are out here struggling, and they won't even be able to put their own employees on the job. And so how does that help Black-owned firms? And that's what I'm talking about principally, not people of color, Black-owned firms in particular, who will not be able to compete because they will have to bring in employees workers who are not their employees, but will be responsible for doing that work. And they have to bring them in and forsake their own workers. It's not right.
That's suicide.
Right. It's not a way. It's suicide. Wouldn't do it. And so that's just another issue, a major issue that is coming down. Governor Moore signed an executive order. And I thought it would go to the General Assembly this year to codify it. It didn't, but I can imagine that it will, because this big money is coming to this state because of this bridge, and they want to turn it into a law. And it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. I'll still vote for him because he's Black, but it's wrong. So I believe I've gotten everything off my. One final thing, Donnie. Fulton Bank. They did one of our Black contractors extremely wrong, Donnie. He bought his father's business, Plus Jones, P&J Contracting, $7 million transaction, SBA loan, Fulton Bank Finance, but they put onerous terms in there, Johnny. Onerous terms that they wouldn't probably, we probably wouldn't offer that to their white customers. But we believe that there's a diabolical scheme because there's land involved, always wealth and land involved somewhere. And their buddies up in the Pikesville area wanted to get a hold of this land. But Mr. Jones has sued them. It's an 8-count lawsuit. And that includes not only Fulton Bank, state of Maryland, through the Department of Environment, as well as a big major law firm in downtown Baltimore called Gordon Feinblatt, who represented conflict of interest, not only Fulton Bank, but the borrower. Can't do that. But because the borrower is Black, they probably said, to hell with all of that. We're going to disrespect you and do it anyway. And so Mr. Jones has filed a lawsuit. I think it's close to $100 million. And all of them, state, Fulton Bank, and the law firm will be dealt with. This brother, Plus Jones Jr., is fighting back. He's got a lovely wife who stands by him, supports him, Elizabeth Jones, and they are fighting back, and all of them are going to pay for this.
So, Mr. McKee, any final thoughts before we get up out of here?
No, sir. You're going to hear more about me and my company, and we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to seek opportunities, not only here in Maryland, but, even abroad if we have to. We're looking at the Virgin Islands, potential opportunities there as well. So we just need to get the word out, and find ways to be able to make ourselves strong by being able to finance these jobs and have the wherewithal to find the right financial institution that's going to work with us. Because at the end of the day, especially in the maritime industry, success has a lot to do with money. And if you get in that business and you'll find yourself in deep trouble without it. So
Mr.
hoping.
McGee,
Yes.
I think we need to get you an agent because damn if Spike Lee wouldn't probably love to meet a black tugboat captain. I mean, I can see the
Yep.
movie right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a book. We need a book. I don't know if I'm to write it. I've got 2 books already. Hey, we can throw in no, that's not mine.
Right.
I'm
Right.
sorry, W.E.B. Du Bois. Unapologetically black. I am Black Wall Street. But you need a book. I mean, are you the only black tugboat captain in the world?
In the private sector, I would say yes. There are a number of black men that have gone through the Merchant Marine Academy over the years that came out that you would have thought that would have done something great in terms of trying to help introduce folks in our communities to the maritime industry, but we got complete opposite. We have folks that are only into themselves in terms of opportunities, and they forget about our communities. And as I mentioned, I owe Baltimore my favor of getting in this industry. Without Baltimore, I wouldn't have gotten into the maritime industry.
Well, black people owe you because I'm sensing, especially black people in Baltimore, we owe you because you seemingly are getting more love from New York and New Jersey than from Maryland.
They call me every day for work. They call me every day for work.
So who do we have? Mr. Frazier, what cage do we have to shake for the captain to get some business here?
I think Governor Westmore. Governor Westmore, leave no one behind. Here's a brother here that you can uplift. Just one phone call to your head of the Department of Transportation. I think his name is Paul Wiedefall. One call. You can put his number on there, Mr. Wiedefall. If you're listening here, please give Captain Pegues a call. Then I'll shut the hell up.
No, I can't let you shut up, Mr. Frazier. We may not agree on everything 100%, but I know that you will fall on the sword for black businesses. Let's plug that event for May the 10th. I'm so looking for. Captain, have you ever been to one of his breakfasts? My God, man, it's people from wall to wall.
Yes, I have. I think some years ago I attended the breakfast at Martin West.
Oh, by the way, Donnie, no state agency will be at the breakfast this year. I got word from folks inside of MDOT. They said, we've been told we cannot participate in any of your events, Mr. Frazier.
Well, what'd you do, Mr. Frazier?
I didn't support Governor Moore during the election. I supported Peter Franchot. I'm not ashamed of that. I had a relationship with Peter Franchot since 2006. He helped a lot of black folk, especially
he never spent a dime over here.
Okay, well, he helped the folks that I dealt with from the Board of Public Works. That's the biggest.
He gave me one of them little damn gold coins.
Okay, well, that's neither here nor there. The point is, Governor Moore and his administration have labeled me freaking toxic.
I don't know. This guy Byron Dees, like he's not the head of his agency, but the gatekeepers who black businesses contact for procurement. He has yet to bring in his own middle management. Byron Dees, I didn't know you were so well connected to the Westmore administration, but I guess now we know. We just want those dollars to flow, and we don't have time for excuses. The captain needs to eat now. He's got 5 children to take care of and a wife, and excuses don't work because we've seen where others get taken care of, Mr. Frazier, immediately.
Yes. But Lord, I pray that Captain Pegues gets a phone call. Say, hey, brother, bring your tugboat down here. We got some work for you.
And now you know it right here. Let's any final thoughts before we go, Captain? Again, thank you. We salute you. We must get you back on this show, Mr. Frazier. You've pulled out a lot of
I can't hear you right now.
But you did this is a really big rockfish stuff with crab meat right here. What a treat. for our viewers. Any
Donnie?
final thoughts, Captain? Oh, his mic went out. Cut it back on. You muted your mic, Captain. Okay, well, I'm gonna be there. You go. There you go. Come on, Captain. We hear you. Any final thoughts, Captain? You gotta love technology. Sends everybody crazy. Can you hear us, Captain? Well, this is a tricky system. All right, so we're going to get on out of here, Mr. Frazier. Thank you for this excellent show. Donnie Glover signing out. Up to date, down tomorrow. Do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. And listen, we don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, black, white, Jew, Gentile. We about black business. Good morning, world.